The following is classified footage to be viewed by authorized personnel only. Viewing of this footage by non-ONI personnel will result in termination. You have been warned.
Ladies and gentlesaurs, Mesozoic maniacs, and citizens of the United Earth Government, welcome to Assessing Survival, the series where we take creatures from both reality and fiction, placing them in different periods throughout Earth's history, as well as some from outside the scope of our world. In today's episode, we'll be taking one of the largest predators to ever walk the Earth, the iconic king of the Cretaceous, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and placing them on the enigmatic Forerunner megastructure, Installation 00, aka the Lesser Ark. Thank you to the Office of Naval Intelligence and UNSC HICOM for allowing me to use their archives in Sydney for this video, even if there are two very large Spartan 4s watching me from the other side of the room. The Forerunners built the Ark as a centralized manufacturing yard for the Halo rings, and a sort of control center to activate all the rings in the Halo array all at once. The Ark's secondary purpose was to serve as a means for conservation of life in the galaxy. When the Halo array is fired, and all sentient beings in the Milky Way are eviscerated, life can begin anew on the Ark as well as the Halo rings, and all the planets in the galaxy can be reseeded with life. We will be taking a breeding population of Tyrannosaurus Rex and placing them on the Ark shortly after the Forerunners fired the Halo array many tens of thousands of years ago. Information in this video is sourced from the ONI archives in Sydney that I've been given access to, under the terms that I don't expose anything about the Spartan 2 project.
Audio redacted.
I will be using 4 different categories to assess the Tyrannosaurus's ability to survive. The scores for these categories will then be added up for a final assessment score. These categories are environment suitability, strengths and weaknesses, prey items, and competition, as well as our usual speculative evolution segment in the latter portion of the video. So without any further ado, let's get into the categories. Environment suitability. Installation 00 is massive. 127,532 kilometers, or 79,243 miles in diameter, to be exact. Earth is only 12,742 kilometers in diameter. Now that sounds ridiculous, but being the birthplace of the Halo rings, as well as a wildlife preserve for hundreds of millions of species across the expanse of the Milky Way, it almost doesn't seem big enough. The Ark is heated by an artificial sun that covers the entirety of the celestial object with sunlight. It is projected from a beacon tower somewhere close to the center of the installation. This tiny star gives way to a flourishing world of plant life which sustains the atmosphere of the Ark. Said atmosphere is similar to that of Earth, being mostly composed of oxygen and nitrogen, making it breathable for all known sentient life, excluding of course the Ungoi. As far as the environment goes, Installation 00 of course features many different biomes and ecosystems for all matters of life to flourish in. Our records show the temperatures range all the way from negative 30 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, which makes sense given the size of the place. The Ark's biomes include deserts, forests, jungles, mountains, even large bodies of water, all of which are teeming with life. So really, the T-Rex will have its pick of where it would like to inhabit. Environment suitability score, 10 out of 10. Alright, before we get into the next category, I have something special that I whipped up for you guys. Are you a fan of the Assessing Survival series? Do you want to support and represent the channel? Well, have I got the news for you, pal. For a limited time only, I will be selling these one-of-a-kind, Orloxopodum, yeah buddy, t-shirts. They come in gray, light gray, blue, black, and white, in sizes up to 5XL, in case you are a Orloxopodum. Get them as a classic t-shirt, or show off the guns with a tank top. For the month of April only, use code HALO at checkout to get 15% off your order. Alright, that's enough. Let's get back to the video. Strengths and weaknesses. As we all know, Tyrannosaurus is quite possibly the most formidable predator in all of history on Earth. It has been extensively studied, leading to a robust understanding of its strengths and weaknesses based on fossil evidence, biomechanical analysis, and comparisons with other dinosaurs and modern animals. You'll learn here pretty soon that the king of the dinosaurs has an arsenal of advantages that make it the perfect hunter. Even when accounting for all the known wildlife in the universe, Tyrannosaurus Rex remains a massive, dangerous creature, up to 6 meters tall at the hip, nearly 12 meters long from head to tail, and weighing upwards of 7,000 kilograms. T-Rex's sheer size will be incredibly intimidating to most inhabitants of the Ark. Despite this size, the dinosaur is still estimated to be able to run up to 72 kilometers an hour. which is a highly debated matter, but even at the lower estimates of 40 kilometers an hour, this is still an impressive speed for such a large animal. Tyrannosaurus Rex had one of the most powerful bites of any land animal that ever lived. Its jaws could exert tremendous force, estimated to be well over 10,000 pounds per square inch, allowing it to crush bones and rip massive chunks of flesh off of large prey items. This is an attribute that will certainly be applicable in any encounter with the animals on the Ark. Studies suggest that T-Rex had excellent vision. The binocular arrangement and presumed large size of its eyes suggests that T-Rex had sharp vision, possibly surpassing that of modern eagles. This keen eyesight would have been advantageous for detecting prey from long distances or in low light conditions. Combined with excellent vision, the large olfactory bulbs and nerves found in the T-Rex skulls indicate a highly developed sense of smell. T-Rex could likely detect carcasses, pheromones of potential mates, and live prey over great distances, making it an effective scavenger and hunter. While direct evidence of T-Rex's hearing abilities is more speculative, the structure of its inner ear suggests that it could detect low-frequency sounds. All these incredibly adapted senses require a large brain. T-Rex had a brain that was larger than most other dinosaurs when compared to its body size, suggesting that it was relatively intelligent among its contemporaries. Studies put the Rex's EQ, or encephalization quotient, around 2 to 2.4, which is on par with modern corvids and primates. This indicates that it may well have had a degree of problem-solving ability and sensory perception that supported its lifestyle as a top predator. This intelligence may also mean that they have the capacity to care for their young and maintain family groups or bonds. One last adaptation to mention is their paradoxically quiet footsteps. There is limited evidence that suggests that Tyrannosaurus Rex and other theropods had padding on their feet that would negate the sound of its titanic legs stomping against the earth. This, of course, would have been an incredibly useful adaptation to have as a hunter. The Tyrant Lizard King isn't all advantages, though. There are, in fact, some shortcomings the animal may be faced with. The obvious one is that T-Rex has incredibly small arms relative to its body size. In its own environment, this obviously wasn't a problem, but when faced with the animals that inhabit the wider galaxy, this has the potential to be a serious setback when it comes to interactions with competition.
What's going on? Why aren't you seizing labor?
Another setback for the T-Rex will almost surely be the time it takes for them to grow. It's currently estimated that it would take them up to 20 years to reach full size. Juvenile T-Rex will be vulnerable to predation and competition, especially on the Ark, with the untold numbers of potential threats. Strengths and weaknesses score 8.5 out of 10. Prey items. Truth be told, there will absolutely be no lack of food on the Ark. Considering Installation 00 harbors species from uncounted numbers of planets across the galaxy, there's no end to what T-Rex could prey upon. Though, of course, I'd still like to go over some of the unique animals from the wider universe, starting with the moa. Native to planet Reach, these animals existed in large numbers prior to Covenant invasion in 2552, so much so that they were and still are reared as livestock across many colonies. I myself do enjoy a Chipotle moa wrap, but I've heard the burgers and wings are good too. Their behavior was analogous to animals we have here on Earth such as ostrich and emu.
Oh, sweet wampum.
In terms of size, these animals aren't too dissimilar to Struthiomimus, a prey item that Tyrannosaurus regularly encountered in its own time. Like I mentioned earlier, T-Rex, at higher end of estimates, is believed to have a top speed of 72 kilometers per hour. Using the speeds of animals similar to the moa, it's reasonable to speculate that these animals also ran at a speed of 64 to 72 kilometers an hour. So if the higher estimates of T-Rex speeds are to be believed, the moa could be a regular part of the T-Rex's diet. The Thorn Beast. Native to the now destroyed planet of Doisac, homeworld of the Jirohane, or the Brutes, the Thorn Beasts, also known as the Salaban by the Forerunner, are highly adaptable, docile herd animals. Following the Jirohane Civil War, these large herbivores were one of very few species to survive the nuclear Armageddon on Doisac, making them very important to the inhabitants of the planet. When the Brutes were absorbed into the Covenant, they transported these animals to many a conquered world to be reared, though oftentimes they would escape and establish themselves in the ecosystems. Being livestock for both the Covenant and the Banished, these animals are quite large and can provide a lot of calories for a T-Rex. The Thorn Beast is deceptively not that dangerous of a prey item, at least to an animal like T-Rex. Their thorns seem to really only run across their spine, not covering most of their body. A Tyrannosaurus could quite easily flip one of these animals over, or grab a bite of their leg and rip it off. Avitus, a known commander of the armies of the Banished, has described the meat of the Thorn Beast as both an appetizer and a dessert. Oni has no literature on how the Thorn Beast tastes, but if the Jirohane is to be taken at his word, this animal may become the preferred prey of T-Rex on Installation 00. easy to take down, and delicious. The Kolo. Native to Sanghelios, the homeworld of the Sangheli, the Kolo were used as both beasts of burden and livestock by the Sangheli throughout their history, and later on served as a food source for the Covenant at large. These guys can be characterized by the large hump that runs along the length of their body, down to their tail, as well as a large patch of shaggy fur that covers most of their front end. They bear a striking resemblance to their Sangheli keepers, with the top of their head being relatively flat, as well as their mouth being covered by mandibles. Now, Oni doesn't really have a whole lot of information on these guys, so we don't really know how they may behave, but there is something here about Oni scientists breeding them to be indigestible to Sangheli in case their internal descent program.
Audio redacted.
So these guys are about the same size as an adult white rhino, but obviously lacking weapons, making it very likely to be another easy meal for Tyrannosaurus. The Volpard. Little is known about the Volpard, or the Zephyra, as they were called by the Forerunners. However, we do know they resided on Installation 04, before the Master Chief blew it up, of course. Reports of their size are conflicting, as some personnel report that the Volpard were as small as a white-tailed deer, while others claim it was as large as a giraffe. Using this image, captured by camera footage from a helmet of a UNSC Marine during the Battle of Installation 04, we can estimate that this animal was perhaps a little bigger than a bull moose, but smaller than a giraffe. They have a strange two-pronged beak that is unlikely to cause much headache for a Tyrannosaurus. Not much is known about their diet or behavior, so they could be in abundance or quite rare on Installation 00, making it a potential occasional snack for Tyrannosaurus. Mammoths and other Earth species. The Forerunner included many species from Earth in the wildlife of the Ark. And according to the work of Luther Mann, this apparently includes mammoths. Installation 07, or Zeta Halo, also harbors many Earth animals, such as rabbits, gophers, rats, Brontotherium, and some deer-like animals. A mammoth would be a challenging prey item for a Tyrannosaurus, but I can see either a desperate or experienced T-Rex taking them on and reaping the bountiful rewards. I've already made a video on elephants in the Mesozoic, but if you'd like to see a video discussing how Tyrannosaurids and other megatheropods may interact with mammoths, go check out the Vividen's video on large theropods in the Ice Age. There are almost assuredly untold millions of smaller species that inhabit the Lesser Ark, most of which will be perfect for the juvenile T-Rex as they hone their hunting skills. As for other prey items on the Ark, who knows? There could very well be sauropods or ceratopsians somewhere on the installation, among many other unknowns. There's no way we could possibly cover all grounds, but for the animals listed in Oni's archives, T-Rex seems pretty alright. Prey item score, 9.5 out of 10. Threats and competition. The Chifka. The Chifka, or tusk beast, are large quadrupedal animals of unknown origin. They were encountered during Operation
Audio redacted.
in 2555 and were described as quite aggressive. They attacked the team, however reports suggest that the installation's monitor was somehow controlling them. Their sizes vary, from polar bear size to almost the size of an Indian elephant. They come equipped with taloned paws, tusks protruding from behind their jaws, horn-like protrusions at the shoulders, and toothed mouths sealed by a set of 6 mandibles, which suggests perhaps they have some distant relation to the animals of Sanghelios. There were some records of similar creatures on Harvest, but since the Covenant glassed the planet in 2525, we have no way of knowing if these animals really were a Chifka or not. They're known to eat vegetation, though their sharp teeth and claws would suggest that they could be omnivorous. They inhabit colder, snowy regions of the Ark. The Chifka are capable of producing pheromones, which have a psychotropic effect on humans, causing hallucinations. They may be able to induce this in other animals, but we are ultimately unsure. Because the Chifka prefer colder climates, it is unlikely encounters with Tyrannosaurus will be commonplace. If they do encounter each other, I imagine the Chifka avoiding the dinosaur, unless they can induce hallucinations, in which case they could maybe gang up on the T-Rex to take it down while it's falling in and out of consciousness. The Guta. Native to planet Reach, these animals are incredibly large, powerful, and strange. On Reach, they inhabited much of the wilds of the planet, and were recorded as the largest animals ever discovered. These hairless, scaly-skinned creatures are semi-bipedal, much like apes. Though capable of moving on only their hind legs, they will often use their knuckles to support themselves when running. The 6-meter-tall Gutas stand on feet balanced by 2 toes for each foot and 3 fingers on each hand, which are equipped with nearly 6-foot-long, razor-sharp claws on the 2 most outward fingers. Their head features wide, predatory green eyes with 2 large tusks that grow from the inside of their mouth, complemented by a set of jagged teeth. It is largely unknown what kind of diet these animals have, but given said jagged teeth and the long tusks, these animals likely had a diet that varies greatly. During the fall of Reach, Spartan June A266 and Spartan
Audio redacted.
encountered a rampaging pair of Guta while undergoing a reconnaissance mission under the cover of night. Spartan June believes that either the Covenant forces provoked the Guta, or the two Guta were rutting males that were having a territorial dispute, and the presence of the Covenant irritated them further. He documented that the animals absorbed an incredible amount of plasma fire from Covenant troops, including Hunter fuel rod cannons. The mating pair had killed a number of Covenant combatants, including shielded Sangheli, before turning their attention to the Spartans. June says in the document that Spartan armor shielding was broken by a backhanded strike from the Guta, and the beast took a full magazine of 7.62 by 51mm rounds from the Spartan's MA-37 assault rifle, as well as 2 shots from an 8-gauge M45 shotgun before finally falling to the ground. This animal would be a substantial threat to the Tyrannosaurus. Not only is this animal highly durable, but its arsenal of weapons make this a very uneven matchup. One swipe of the massive claws to its neck or underbelly could spell the end of the T-Rex. This is an animal T-Rex should surely avoid. The Morolath. This is an animal that T-Rex might be a little more familiar with. Though we're not quite sure where in the universe these animals come from, the Morolath seems to be a theropod dinosaur, much like those of our past, though lacking both forelimbs as well as eyes. Morolath have massive fangs which extend up from their lower jaws, with some quite nasty looking incisors lining their upper jaws. They can be compared in size to something like Rugops or maybe Utahraptor. When translated from Forerunner to English, it roughly comes out to blind wolf. When Luther Mann visited the Ark in 2555, for reasons I'm not at liberty to disclose, he described an encounter with these animals. They are formidable and very fast pack hunters that rely on sound to locate their prey. They are able to respond from decently loud sounds from a distance, as well as detect something as subtle as a human breathing from up to 10 meters away. In that encounter, these animals gave a team of both Marines, Spartan 4s, and Sangheli a run for their money, killing and dismembering many of the Marines. While their pack took many casualties, many of the Morolath, who absorbed a considerable amount of arms fire, were able to retreat with their lives. Though they possess no eyes and sense almost entirely through sound, they are capable of recognizing if a noise comes from a threat or a prey item. After initially rushing over to the sound of a mammoth's footsteps, Luther Mann observed these animals fleeing once they realized the source of the sound, wanting to take no part in a fight with the mammoth. So, when it comes to a fight between a T-Rex and a pack of Morolath, it could really go either way. The Morolath might be able to sense that the T-Rex is a large predator and is to be avoided, and interactions between the two would be rare. Or, the soft, muffled stride of a Tyrannosaurus could deceive the blind wolves into thinking the animal is much smaller than it really is. In that case, the unusual strength and power of these animals, especially in numbers, could lead to some substantial blood loss even if the larger theropod comes out on top. And while doing so, the pack hunters could inflict severe or even fatal wounds. It's far more likely that the dinosaur would use its incredible arsenal of senses to avoid these vicious predators. Young Tyrannosaurus especially should steer clear of the blind wolves. Despite the dramatic size difference, I believe that the Morolath will be the T-Rex's fiercest competition. This is only the competition that we know of. There very well may be far larger or far more dangerous animals present on the Ark. Threats and competition score 6 out of 10. Which brings us to our final assessment score. 7 out of 10. Even on an alien wildlife preserve, Tyrannosaurus Rex remains an apex predator. Though they likely have some fierce competition, the sheer surface area of the Ark gives the T-Rex the option to avoid their alien contemporaries. We have no idea what will happen to the Ark or the galaxy at large even 100 years from now. But let's speculate on how these animals would evolve given Speculative evolution. Noxacipiteris rhodomnius, the tyrant nighthawk. Noxacipiteris, or just the nighthawks for short, are descendants of T-Rex on the Ark that are specialized for a more stealth and ambush-based lifestyle, with a darker coat to of course better blend into their surrounding environment, as well as a more reserved stature that allows them to move much quicker. They have evolved this way because their primary prey items are the moa and the vulpard. As larger tyrannosaurids, these prey items were not worth the energy expended in pursuit of them, and ambushes were rarely successful. The tyrannosaurs that were smaller and better suited for hunting animals like the moa and vulpard carved for themselves a nocturnal predator niche. They can run at a maximum speed of 85 kilometers an hour or 52 miles per hour. This makes them much faster than the moa, and presumably so for the vulpard as well. Both males and females feature a very dark crimson feather covering, with males featuring brighter red markings along their side and the tips of their arm/tail feathers. They have these feathers for fast turns at high speeds, as well as insulating them during the winter in the more temperate environments they inhabit. The dark coats allow them to hide in the foliage around them, as well as blend into the darkness during even the brightest of nights. They have also reversed the shrinking of their forelimbs, developing a more Megaraptoran style of arms. Less so as a tool for hunting, but more so as defense. Becoming a nocturnal predator, they are now in direct competition with the Morolath. While the Nighthawks retain their sound-muffling footpads, encounters with Morolath are hardly less common. The blind wolves are still incredibly skilled at locating based on sound, and can hear even the breathing of the Nighthawks from a certain distance. The razor-claw forelimbs of the Nighthawk allow them to swipe at the Morolath, keeping them away from their eyes, face, and throat. They must protect especially their eyes, because a big reason for their namesake is their enhanced vision, which exceeds that of modern birds of prey, being able to detect movement from up to 3 miles or 5 kilometers away. They use these eyes not only to locate prey items at night, but also to detect wandering packs of Morolath so that they can avoid them. However, they are not the only descendants of Tyrannosaurus Rex on the Ark. Oxychrysteris nivensis, the sharp-crested winter beast. Oxychrysteris, or the Winter Tyrant for short, is a descendant of Tyrannosaurus Rex that is adapted for life in the snowy tundras of Installation 00, with puffy white feather coats for the harsh snowstorms, as well as head crests that resemble antlers for dealing with more dangerous prey items and competition. They grow to be 45 meters long, 6.5 meters tall at the hip, and can weigh up to 13 metric tons. These tyrannosaurs have grown to be larger than their predecessors, to make hunting animals like mammoths much easier. They come equipped with large antler-like crests that are an extension of their ancestors' bony crests. They serve as weapons in combat with other Oxychrysteris, as well as with the Guta. Their large puffy white jacket provides protection for their exposed throats, which could be an easy target for the Guta's massive claws otherwise. The crests serve as a way to create space between them and the Guta to avoid their long tusks and claws in an encounter. They also use these crests as a way to combat the Chifka. The Chifka have adapted to use their telepathic abilities on the Tyrannosaurs. However, the crests serve as a sort of dampener to these effects, absorbing any pheromones attempting to influence the dinosaur's mind. The Winter Tyrants also use their crests to flip the Chifka over, exposing their vitals so that they may begin feasting on them. Adult Oxychrysteris spend most of their lives in the coldest part of the installation. However, closer to the mating season, they will shed their puffy coats and move into more temperate regions. Their mating ritual is similar to that of deer or bison. Males will use their antler-like crests to duel each other for mating rights. Females also have these crests, however they will shed them before the mating season so they don't get confused with males, and begin to regrow them once they lay their eggs. The Winter Tyrants lay their eggs in temperate regions not only because they are more likely to hatch in these warmer temperatures, but also because their early lives depend on the more reasonable prey items that live in these warmer regions. Newly hatched Oxychrysteris will stay with their mothers until she grows her crest back, which usually happens when the hatchlings become adolescents. Adult males will return to the tundras when they see females with stubby crests making their way out to the warmer climates, leaving the young ones to fend for themselves. Adolescent Oxychrysteris behave much like young ravens do, forming gangs. They use their numbers to hunt animals like thorn beasts and kolo. Adolescent and even adult winter tyrants will encounter nighthawks, Morolath, and even unchanged Tyrannosaurus Rex when in these temperate regions. As they age, their bony crests begin to grow and form antler-like structures, as well as a thick jacket of heavy white feathers. They part ways with the gang they grew up in to go live a solitary life in the colder regions, where they hunt larger animals to keep up with their growing mass. Oh, what's that? My time's running up? Okay. Yeah, I got you. Alright. Let's come up with one final spec evo before I go. Okay, so for our last spec evo, I was thinking something ridiculous like a T-Rex wielding energy swords or something, but I've actually come across something in the archives here that's really interesting. It's actually an audio debrief meant for people with much higher clearance than me, but you guys have to see this.
Assault team to Dawn. Chief and Vividen have entered the Citadel. We're holding off what's left of the Covenant.
What is that noise? Sir, you reading that?
I heard it, Marine. It sounds ugly.
Oh God! What the f*** is that thing? Shoot! Shoot!
That goddamn dinosaur? What the fuck?
Assault team to Dawn. We need immediate air support. The flood are swarming us outside the Citadel. Over.
Air support? We need evac! Look at this thing! It's eating everything we throw at it!
Keep yourself together, human. We will crush this parasite just as we have all the others, no matter its size. Move, move, move! Destroy the parasite. It cannot be allowed to advance further.
Piss it off, Hingehead.
Assault team, this is Forerunner to down. We're occupied with the brutes. We cannot provide evac nor air support at this time. I suggest you get out of there.
The dinosaur just ate the goddamn hunter!
Copy that, Don. Load up! We're getting out of here!
Move, move, move!
No! Wait for me! Wait for me! No!
The following is former Marine Corps Corporal Walker's recalling of the encounter with the dinosaurian flood form, which he and his team came into contact with outside of the Citadel during the Battle of Installation 00.
Begin recording. You said it was a dinosaur?
Yeah, it was a dinosaur. Sounds ridiculous, I know, but I saw what I saw. The elites will tell you the same thing.
The Swords of Sanghelios have declined to comment, and as you're the only survivor from the assault team that made it back home from Installation 00, we need you to describe the animal and its behavior, on the off chance that the UNSC comes across something like that again.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Well, obviously it looked like a T-Rex, way bigger than I would have ever imagined one being. It came not long after Chief and the Arbiter crossed over to the Citadel.
What did it sound like?
When it roared, it sounded like it was fighting to stay alive, and you could hear the faint screams of what sounded like people behind its bellows. When the elite shot it with the Wraith, it made a sound that put my heart in my throat.
Was the plasma mortar effective against the flood form?
Not at all, it really just pissed him off. He started running towards us from across the canyon. He was stomping all over the other flood forms that didn't seem to care about anything but killing or staying alive.
And how did the flood infection appear to affect this animal?
It had so many tendrils, 6, 9, maybe 12 tendrils. It definitely had 3 coming from its mouth. It opened its mouth so wide the bottom 2 mandibles split and the skin between its jaws was hardly holding them together. You know, the flood normally drops the head off to the side whenever they take something for their own, but I guess it must have decided to keep the head, probably the most useful part of the animal. It had those tiny little arms, just like all the jokes in movies. Well, one of them. Its right arm was nearly bigger than its leg. It was dragging it along while it ran. And when it reached the Wraith, he used it like a club and practically pancaked it.
You said that it was trampling and killing all the other flood forms when it charged towards you. Why would it do that, given that they are a hive mind?
My best guess? It was still undergoing being infected, trying to fight it off, panicking. The thing seemed like it was growing more and more pustules as the fight went on. Could have sworn some infection forms popped out of him.
I see. Thank you for your time. And just for the record, how is it that you made it back home, but not the others?
The thing must have taken out at least a quarter of the joint assault team. More man than sung Haley. When we got away from the Horde and off the surface of the Ark, the elites took us home on the shipmaster's vessel, but during the voyage, what remained of the human part of the assault team must have inhaled too many flood spores. They started changing and went feral on the elites. I was actually on the bridge with the Sangheili crew when it was happening. They used fuel rods to incinerate all the guys that turned. For some reason, I was the only one from the team that didn't get infected, but that didn't stop them from quarantining me for the rest of the trip back home.
We appreciate your recounting of events, Walker. Just as a reminder, this conversation, as well as its topic, is classified, and not to be shared with anyone without the proper clearance. Am I understood?
Of course, sir.
End recording.
Alright guys, I really gotta get out of here before Oni realizes.
You won't be leaving anytime soon, sir.
What do you mean?
Don't play dumb. You were snooping around where you weren't supposed to. Oni doesn't take that lightly. Come with us.
No, wait, I didn't see anything.
You don't have a choice. Stop resisting.
No, please! Ah!